Welcome to the Trainer Talk, where we discuss topics related to health and fitness to help you gain back control of your health and fitness and become the absolute best version of yourself physically and mentally. Enjoy. We are live, a couple minutes late as usual. Technical difficulties. So today we have an interesting topic. We're going to go over our personal kind of things that we incorporated into our lives that led to our success. The top 3 things that we attribute our health and fitness success to. So this will hopefully help you guys along your journey. If you can adapt any of the habits or things that we're going to go over. We're also going to learn a little bit about each other because we're going to kind of see what really led us to where we're at in our health and fitness journey. So whoever wants to go first, go ahead and start with your top 3, and we'll kind of discuss each one a little bit, and then I think we'll just go around the group. So,
okay.
Bethany, you want to go first?
Yep, I can go first. So like a big one is obviously like mindset overall, but a couple like specific things for me. When I first started in college, I looked ahead at what I wanted to be like one day as far as my healthy, routines and nutrition and all like that. And I was like, man, I want to be like this person who eats lots of healthy vegetables every day, makes a smoothie for breakfast, all these different things. And I was like, I want to be that person someday. But then I was like, came to the realization, I was like, why don't I just do that now to then get there? And so that was like a good mindset shift of practicing the habits of what I wanted to be like right there in that moment. And I think that really helped me starting out, just have like a bigger picture in mind too. And that helps with like consistency and just having that beginner's mindset of like, okay, we're just going to take it one day at a time and really focus on just these basic habits of, making better choices. At that time, it was in the cafeteria rooms, like probably shouldn't have a brownie every day if I want to be healthier and more fit at that time. And then another thing with the mindset umbrella is channeling like the fear, the competitiveness into something else too. There's like, we kind of talked about this and you guys can kind of go into your personal ones, but the fear of like having chronic disease later in life, not being able to do all the things you want to do, dying early, just like kind of suffering from these chronic diseases later, or suffering from or the fear of like not being in a place where you're okay going to the beach and being confident, like it's fine wearing a bikini, right? Like that's one thing that when I was younger, that was like the first initial motivator to get into the gym, was to look better, to be more in shape, to have more body confidence, everything like that. And using that, even though it's maybe like we would see that as a more superficial driver, it's still really good to get in there just being like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I want to change that. And channeling the competitive ego side of it too, especially with lifting and stuff, as an athlete growing up, and I wanted to beat the other team. Like you have to have that ego of like, I want to be better than them. I want to beat them. But still also like wanting to be better yourself, not just having it be a negative outward looking thing. It's also like, okay, I want to get better. I want to be better, and carrying that through to like, okay, I want to get better and be better than that older version of myself and stuff like that too. Really helps. The second one was following a training program. It's a lot less like introspective, but just following a structured training program where maybe they have you do things that you don't necessarily want to do yourself, but you need to do to get better and to achieve your goals. I wish I would have started following a training program sooner rather than just doing my own workouts that I made up, just because like at that time I had a decent amount of knowledge, but not quite enough to progress at a faster rate. But then once I came here and we started doing like a CrossFit training program, results just kind of like skyrocketed from there. It really did help out just having that structure to it and just coming in and following whatever was on the list for the day. And then the last one is making things simple and easy. Like when it comes to nutrition, keeping things really simple and easy. like buying pre-cut up vegetables or frozen vegetables, just finding recipes that you can throw together in 15 minutes. Because, I used to meal prep for a decent amount of time. But now it's just easier if I can just throw something in a crock pot or make it in 15 minutes and have a bunch of meals made for the week. So it's makes sticking to these healthier habits a lot easier, having those quick, easy, simple options. So it doesn't always have to be a super elaborate thing with 10 different ingredients. It can be something really super simple and quick.
Cool. Yeah. I'll go next. Those are all really good. And I agree with like all of them. And so probably my top one, which kind of goes into like your fear thing that you talked about, like having like, but I want to explain it like, and we talk about this all the time, but like having a why, like what's the purpose of working out? Like what's the purpose of taking care of yourself? Like why are you doing it? And I think it's important to remember that your why, it's going to continually change. Like my why now is different than before I had a kid and before like I was married and stuff like that. And so, now my biggest why is like setting an example for my children and showing them that like your life isn't over after you have kids. Like you can still take care of yourself, you can still be healthy. And also kind of that fear of like I've seen people lose themselves after having kids, like mentally and physically, and that's just something that I tell myself, like I'm not letting that happen to me. I am going to take care of myself regardless. Like it might look different now, but I feel like a lot of people like put the blame on their kids for why they can't work out, why they don't have time to work out, why they can't meal prep and eat healthy. And instead, like I'm going to use my kid as my why. Like I'm doing it for him to show him that he can do all of these things. The second one that's helped me in my health and fitness journey is surrounding myself with the right people. I feel like I've hung out with like the partiers and I found myself kind of get lost in that life and put on the weight whatever and just not feel my best, not look my best. And then coming here and surrounding myself with people like you guys has really like kind of like helped me just, I don't know the word, like really succeed, I guess is what we're talking about. And then the last one is, I think that comparison can be both positive and negative. Like I think that I do like to sometimes compare myself to other people if I'm looking up to them and I'm trying to positively like achieve what they're doing. Like Bethany really inspires me to be able to lift heavier and be stronger and stuff like that. But also like not comparing to the point where you're like degrading yourself,
not
and
beating yourself up over it.
not beating yourself up, and also knowing like I am where I am. Like I just had a baby 6 months ago, so I'm not yet to that point of being able to lift as heavy as Bethany, but I can get to that point. So kind of like having that healthy balance of comparison, I guess, if that makes sense. So those are my top 3 things.
Yeah, I think comparison can be, not always, but it can be to just destroy your happiness, happiness. And I know I watch a lot of Josh Bridges videos, and he talks about that a lot. Never compare yourself to anybody else. Only compare yourself to who you were yesterday and who you wanna be in the future. So I definitely agree with that. And my first one's also pretty similar to yours, with surrounding yourself with the right people, with people that have similar goals as you. And that's something that I've been lucky that I've been able to do pretty much my entire life, being involved in sports at a young age. Family, friends, I made a lot of my friends through sports. So we all were outside playing football. And then as I got older, it turned into, we started to take the gym and nutrition more seriously. And I met you guys and even before this, coming up to the gym with friends. We all had like-minded goals. That's been a big contributor. Just keeping yourself in the right mind frame, because if you surround yourself with the wrong people, it completely shifts your mind frame changes your priorities. You're sacrificing some of your goals that you might have by surrounding yourself with the wrong people. So it's important to, what do they say? The 5 people you hang around with, or how does that go? Do you?
It's the 5 people that you are the sum of the 5
5
people
people.
you spend the most time with.
Yeah, you're the one who always says that, and that's 100% true.
Mhm.
Last one is going back to more of a fear, almost running from something. And for me, it's been different, different under different circumstances at different points in my life. But the fear of regressing, the fear of failing and not um, meeting the standard that I've almost set for myself. And at a younger age, it was within sports. And so I was lucky enough to find success at a young age, probably 7th, 8th grade, in many different sports. And I felt like as I got older, I had to uphold that reputation. And like, for example, my junior year in football, I was very successful. Going into my senior year, I was like, I know people get stagnant as they succeed. Like, I've seen it plenty of times. And senior year, I didn't do as good, but between my junior and senior year, I trained my butt off. Like, I was like, I'm not going to be that person. And then senior year, I was not as good. I was like, what did I do wrong? I have no idea. I didn't have as good of a year. I mean, I didn't, and I kind of blamed it on myself. And so that was a big motivator. Like, that was something I was trying to avoid throughout all of school, is regressing, because felt like I was obliged to be a good athlete, I guess. I had that reputation. That's who I was. Like, I've talked about that before.
Very identity.
I was a football player,
Yeah,
right?
very identity.
Yeah. And so, like, I didn't really have anything else to identify as outside of that, especially when you're in school.
Mhm.
So the fear was progressing from, not who was I if I wasn't a good football player,
Right.
Or a good athlete.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe not everybody can relate to that, but that's a personal one for me. That's pretty much all I had.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say the number one thing, if I'm thinking back all the way when I started, would just be the environment that I was in. And there's different layers to the environment that we set up for our success. So one of those is the people that you surround yourself with. We already mentioned that. I got started in the gym with my friends. We held each other accountable. We lifted together, things like that. So throughout my entire, career, I guess, as, through bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, I've always had somebody to work out with or a group of people to work out with, surrounding myself with like-minded people that are going to make me better. That is a huge, huge aspect of it. But also setting up your environment outside of the gym. So, like, for example, if you go into my house, like, there's not a bunch of junk food and stuff like that. Like, setting up your environment as far as your nutrition goes, like, my sleep environment. So, like, our bedroom, like, we don't watch TV in bed. Like, we have a bedtime. Like, making those sacrifices and stuff like that, and setting up the environment for success is just key to succeeding in your health and fitness. And we talk about that all the time, like with nutrition and your workouts and your sleep, your recovery, all that kind of stuff. Your environment is basically what's going to dictate all of those things. So the environment is definitely number one. Number two is, a long time ago, I just created non-negotiables. I think that's a huge thing. People need to set certain things that it's just non-negotiable. Like, people are always like, I don't know if I really want to do this fitness thing, I'll test it out. It's like, if you want to be fit and healthy, you can't just decide whether or not you're going to be an exerciser or work out. Like, it's just what you have to do, right? And if you want to make a certain amount of money, you can't decide if you want to get a job or work. Like, you have to work, right?
Yeah.
So non-negotiables, like working out every single week, whether it's 4, 5, 6 days a week, that is a non-negotiable in my life. And I'm not going to let somebody take that time away from me. That's another big thing. The nutrition, it's like, we talk about all the time, 80% of the time, I'm going to be eating pretty good, healthy food. I keep that out of my house, which relates to the environment. Sleep, like, I literally have missed out on so many different things because guess what? Katie and I go to bed at freaking 8 o'clock every night, 8:30, because my goals, it aligns with my goals. Like, we don't go out and every single weekend drinking at the bar, go out with friends all that much because it doesn't align with what I'm trying to accomplish. And so it's a non-negotiable. Like, I need to recover. and I need to get sleep so that I can do the things that I want to do in life. Yes, we still do things like going out and stuff like that, but it's just a lot less than the average person, right? So aligning, kind of like what Caitlin said with the why, is like figure out what your why is and align those goals with it. Like you got to do what you got to do to achieve it. And so you got to have some non-negotiables. You have to create a good environment. And with the non-negotiables, a big thing that I've been doing for years now is planning and preparing. That is a huge, huge step. Like you can't just say, okay, I'm going to work out 5 days. I'm going to eat good. I'm going to go to bed at this time and not have a plan and prepare for it. So you see this journal in front of me every single talk. You know, we got notes. Doran's got his going. I'm scheduling out every single day with the times that I'm going to do each thing, so that I'm sticking to the plan. And as you guys know, like we pretty much all work out at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, with the exception being Thursday because it's our active recovery / trainer talk day. So we pretty much work out. That's built into our schedule, right?
Saturday mornings too.
Exactly.
Yep.
Saturday morning, 7 a.m. How many people do that? You know, we used to we did that for years, and now we've been pushing it back a little bit sometimes. But we still make it happen.
Yeah.
It's a non-negotiable. So the last thing, and I had a really hard time trying to explain or come up with a way to explain this, but when I first started training, it was basically because of the feeling that I wasn't good enough and wanting to be the best that I could be. I think that I have to relate a lot of my success to this because there's been certain circumstances and situations in my life where I felt like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't, whatever it was, it motivated and fueled me to get better. Mm-hmm. And having that drive to want to be above average or not live a mediocre lifestyle, I want to be happy with myself and confident and feel like I'm the best version of myself. Live a long, happy lifestyle, not end up, like other people with heart disease or diabetes or obesity, not being able to do the things they want to do in life. Like I want to be the best that I can be. And I can remember specific moments in my life where I felt like I wasn't good enough and it motivated and just like I told these guys earlier, like I think I was stronger and stuff like that when I was younger, not because I was necessarily a stronger human, because I had so much anger to put into my training. Like I would just put aggression and anger into my training, and I was a freaking beast because of it. And now I'm pretty happy and I'm pretty stress-free for the most part, and I don't put as much aggression and stuff like that into my training. But yeah, I just basically use the things that you have in life that are stressing you out, making you angry, stuff like that. Use that as fuel to get better. Don't just let it bury you. That's a big thing. It's like adopting a better mindset. So the drive to be the best I could be, like Bethany mentioned ego, like I want to be the best that I can be. And that's a positive thing if you think about it. Like I'm not necessarily trying to beat everybody around me, but I am going to be the best that I can be. And if I beat you, that's freaking cool too, right? But I've always said since I became a trainer, like, I told Lauren earlier, like I was not the best athlete. I was a good athlete. I was good at everything I did, but I was never the best at any one thing. And if I can get to the level that I'm at, I can inspire somebody else that maybe is the same way. So like a big part of who I am and where I'm at is like showing people what's possible if they actually just put in the hard work and determination. And so like I know for a fact that DeLorean is a better athlete than me. Like he's naturally just freaking insane. And I was not necessarily that way, but I'll be damned if I'm not going to try my absolute best to be a better athlete than him for as long as I possibly can. And in the process, I'm going to make him a better athlete.
Yeah.
So that's where I come from, wanting to be my best, is not just to prove to myself what I'm capable of, but prove to others what they're capable of. Yeah. And so having that mindset, the environment, and creating non-negotiables, and having a plan, and having a why is really my most crucial things to where I'm at right now. So,
well, for example of your pushing me, obviously, like we're working out together most days of the week, and I mean I've seen it happen right in front of my eyes. Like I've been like working out with you, you've probably gotten better, and I've like come up with you at the exact same time. And I know if I was working out by myself, I would not be at that same level. Like it just wouldn't be the same. And I've literally seen from in the past, I don't know, since April last year when I first started working here until now, it's almost night and day. Like just the progression that I've made with the different skills and techniques in CrossFit, my cardio.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's what I experienced too. And the funny thing is, a lot of people set these goals and they're all appearance-based goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to look a certain way, you know, things like that. Whereas, yes, I care about like looking good, but I care more about being able to do a lot and feeling good and being confident, having energy, things like that. Like, you know, I made a post a couple of years ago where I had a picture of myself. I don't know, now it'd be about 8 years ago, and then it was like 2 years ago, and I look exactly the same, but two completely different people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the person that I am now, like I can do 10 times what I could do when I was, 22 years old before I started doing CrossFit. Like I couldn't walk on my hands, do a muscle up, do ring muscle ups, do any barbell Olympic lifts. I just did bicep curls, bench press, squat, deadlift. That was it. And I was out of shape. Like I was training clients, putting them through circuits that I probably would struggle doing. Like I'd be winded. I couldn't run a mile. So it's like setting some goals other than just an appearance-based goal and things like that. And like I'll agree with you. Like you don't look necessarily a ton different. You have gained some muscle though, which is very, very cool. You've gotten bigger, but like as far as an athlete goes, you are you've definitely made a ton of progress, which is, I think, is a very, very important thing for people that are listening to set is like, how do you want to feel? What do you want to be able to do with your body? The confidence, the energy, the ability to do things inside and outside of the gym. I'm confident that I could go out and, we could hike 5-6 miles like we did in Canada. Go snowboarding, like doing those things outside of the gym. That you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. And that's what pushing yourself to become the best really allows you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like one note that I wanted to make, a lot of people do kind of diss on like comparing yourself to others. They'll say like, don't compare yourself to others. Comparison's a thief of joy. And I actually really disagree with that. I used to think that. Be like, yeah, don't compare yourself to others at all, whatever. But it's honestly healthy to compare yourself to others. And our brains are automatically going to do it regardless. Mm-hmm. It's just how we're wired. Like we're tribal creatures. Like we have that social aspect. And for you two, like when you're working out together, you're obviously competing because he wants to try to beat you as long as he can, right? But it's not like I want to be better than you, and it's not in like an aggressive way, like trying to degrade you. It's not like that much of an ego thing. It's just more of a like I want to push. It pushes him to do better, and it pushes you to do better because you also are like, oh yeah, like I want to beat Taylor, so then I can,
rub it in.
Rub it in a little bit, but it's in like a healthy, friendly way. Yeah. It's not in a very egocentric.
We can sit here and laugh about it.
Right, exactly. It's in a very friendly way, and I think that really, like, it gets missed sometimes, like the athletic, competitive component of it too.
Yeah.
And then I do like what you mentioned with like having that separate goal. Like obviously you had that driver of like anger or something. Like a lot of people, they get into their best shape when they had a breakup because they're like they want to prove that other person.
That's a couple of the circumstances.
They want to be like, all right, I'm going to turn myself into the best version of myself and see, show them what they're missing or whatever. And like, that is a driver for a lot of people. And like, people make jokes about it on like TikTok of like, will you break up with me so I can get into better shape? Like, I've seen that on TikTok, like obviously a joke. But I think that does help to start the journey, but not what keeps it going. Right. And then just like a personal little anecdote with pull-ups, like when I first started, I mean, I could barely do a controlled negative pull-up when I started lifting back in 10th grade. I mean, obviously I was a high school girl, so I did not have a lot of upper body strength, couldn't really do strict push-ups, definitely not well. I could, maybe do like half reps, little bro reps for a little bit, but not nearly compared to what, you're able to do, what I'm able to do now. And it took, 3.5 years for me to finally get that one trick pull up. And it's, having that long-term vision of like, okay, I do want to be that healthier, fitter version, and just being consistent with the process. And I think that's what led all of us there, is like we have had those like internal drives of like, I don't want to be this way, or like you wanted to keep that identity part of yourself. And having those like almost like emotional drivers, but then you probably had the goal of like, I want to bench 225 or something like that, those external goals. So having both an internal and external goal is also really helpful too.
If your only driver was to be able to do a pull-up, you probably wouldn't have gone for 3 years. You might have just given up at some point.
I would have
if
been
that
like,
was-
nope, this is never going to happen.
Yeah.
To second that, though, to kind of build on that, is you need to ask yourself, what would I need to do to make it unreasonable for me not to succeed in this?
Yeah.
Like, if I want to do a pull-up, okay, if I worked on pull-ups 5 days a week for the next 2 years, it would be unreasonable for me not to be better at it,
Right.
or to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think people underestimate what goes into achieving the goals, but sometimes they can overestimate how long it took, like that it's actually successful. Like, oh, I could never do that. Like it would take me such a long time. Well, what it really comes down to is if you just had a couple of years of dedicated practice, you could do it. It doesn't actually take as long as you think, but it does take work.
Yeah. Consistency
Yeah.
over a period of time.
And being frustrated sometimes.
I mean, I went from like I was 22 or 23 when I first started. I did my first CrossFit Metcon, and I went from a bodybuilder who actually hated and like made fun of CrossFit to doing it. And 3-4 years later, I was the top 1% fittest men in the world. So it's like it doesn't take very long if you actually dedicate 100% of your energy and time to it.
Yeah.
And 3 years isn't. I mean, it seems in the grand scheme of things, oh my God, 3-4 years, that's a really long time. Well, if you look at my lifetime, where I went from 0 to being, top 1-2% fittest people in the world, I'm like, that's not very long. It's already come and gone now. It's like, so it's got to look a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Long term.
It's a
Cool.
journey.
All right. So just to recap, what were your top 3 things?
Under mindset, looking ahead at who you want to be and channeling the negative, the fear or ego, following a training program, and then third one, keeping nutrition simple and easy.
So mine was having a why, surrounding myself with the right people, and not comparing in an unhealthy way, but comparing in a
Kind of
healthy
what
way.
she just went over. Yep.
Yep. Surrounding yourself like-minded people. For me, part of it was the fear of regressing. And then making the most of what I had with my gifts and using it to my most potential.
Love it. And then for me, it was just creating and setting my environment up for success, create non-negotiables and have a plan of action to do those non-negotiables. And then 3 is, for me anyways, it was basically using that drive to become my best as fuel. Using things in my past that didn't go my way as fuel to become better, wanting to become the best version of myself, not settling for average or mediocre, anything like that.
Mhm.
That was mine. So hopefully you guys got some value from this. Start thinking about what could be what are my top 3 things that are going to lead me to success, or like, what am I currently doing that's moving me in the right direction? What am I currently doing that's not moving me in the right direction, that's pulling me away? And so like Caitlin mentioned, if you're surrounding yourself with people that go out to dinner 2 nights a week and drink a couple nights a week and they don't work out and they have bad habits, you're going to probably adopt those exact same habits unless you change something. And we're not saying there's anything wrong with spending time with those people, but if you have goals and aspirations to be a healthy, fit person for you and your family, and you want to feel better and gain confidence and energy, you're going to have to make that sacrifice and those choices of, maybe you don't surround yourself with certain people or certain things. You're going to go to bed earlier. You can't stay up watching Netflix all night. Like, there are definitely sacrifices to this life, but I think the benefits far outweigh those sacrifices.
Mhm.
So start coming up with your list of things and try to commit to a couple of them for the rest of the year and see how you feel at the start of next year. And then create a new list and just keep building from there. So until next time, guys, stay healthy and we'll see you soon. Thanks again for tuning in to the Trainer Talk. If you are ready to gain back control of your health and fitness, we would love to sit down and chat with you to see if we can put together a plan for you. All you have to do is head to TaylorHutchinsonFitness.net and book a free consult. Again, make sure you like and subscribe if you like the video, and hopefully we'll see you soon.